What's up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching. And guys, today we are talking about Tufele, defensive tackle out of USC. This is a sophomore. We're going to put up the stats right now just so we can talk about him. This is a sophomore, 6'3", 305 pounds, got 7.5 sacks and 65 tackles in his career at USC. He's an opt-out guy, all right? This is one of these defensive tackle opt-out dudes, and I kind of thought I knew about most of the opt-outs, right? Like I remember looking down the list, seeing all the opt-outs. This is a guy I wasn't really aware of. Opts out, decides to go to the draft. Listen, I live in Tennessee. I'm not aware of all these West Coast guys. I'm sorry. I know USC is a big school. I'm not going to know about all of them. So I didn't know about this one. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I'm excited to talk about him. Let's get to the skill chart now so we can break down Tufele in a little bit different way. So first thing we got to talk about is his burst and first step. This dude has a quick burst off the line. I love that from interior guys. I want to see a guy who can get off the line very, very quick, constantly engaging with the offensive lineman before he's really even set. Just a very, very quick first step. I will say I actually just recorded a video talking about Davion Nixon, and he had a really, really good first step burst as well. He actually was in that elite category. 7 and above is an elite grade for me. So with Tufele here, he's just under. And the difference I would say is Nixon had a little bit more explosiveness as his second and third step, right? Like his burst, it was just like lasted a little bit longer than I think Tufele's does. He is so quick off the line. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say like he's an explosive athlete at the defensive tackle position. I think he's just a big boy who can get up real fast. I think that's kind of how I would explain it. Read and react at a 3.4. Yeah, this is a negative grade for me. And look, it's actually very simple. If I see multiple plays where I don't think you know where the ball is, you're going to get a negative grade from me. It's that simple. And it happened too many times. And it didn't happen a lot. I counted 3 times where I truly don't think he knew where the ball was. All right. And listen, if I see that from the TV copies that I have, I don't have access to this nice fancy all 22 film. So I feel like if I'm seeing that a handful of times, it probably happened more times where, it wasn't quite as obvious. Right. So that's where I landed with this. That's why it's a negative grade. I don't think it's a huge detriment. Like, in being totally honest, I think 3.4 probably a little harsh. Like, it feels a little harsh just recording this, talking it out right now in front of nobody. But yeah, either way, I'm keeping it at 3.4. It's got to be a negative grade in my book. That's just like one of those rules for me. So I'm sticking to that one. 5.8 versus the run. Very good versus the run. I think this is one of those guys that, like, I don't want to call him a 3 down defensive tackle, because I do believe I think he's a rotational guy. I think he's a guy that I want in a rotation on an offense. I think he has 3 down ability. He is more than functional against the run. Like, he does everything right. He does a really good job of sealing off gaps. He does a really good job of getting a line, just extending an arm and getting alignment off of him so he can make a tackle, or so he can kind of make a little bit of reach tackle, and at the very least slow a guy down. So I like it. I like his ability against the run. I'm not going to sit here and say he is a dominating force in the middle of a defense where he's just, getting after it every single play. Not quite that good, but still very, very positive grade for me. Play strength at a 6. Yeah, very, very strong dude. We're talking about a guy, like I said, his extension, one of his best moves actually is his pull and rip, right? He has that extension and just rip an offensive lineman away from him. And he actually usually does that after the first move doesn't work. He has like 3 pass rushing moves that he consistently uses, and when that doesn't work, his counter is almost always boom, boom, right? Like, he's just, and that's strength. Like, to me, that's play strength. You can't do that if you're not strong enough to do it. I mean, just a big, strong dude in the middle of that defense. I have no issue with that at all. Athleticism at a 5.2. Functional athleticism, I have no issue with that. It doesn't blow me away, but I'm very happy with overall athleticism. I'm good with that. Hand usage at a 5.8. Very, very good grade. He does need to add a few more pass rushing moves to his repertoire. He really, he's so good with the club move. Like, he just boom, that club move is there. He's so good with that rip and dip. He has these moves that work really well for him. Needs to add a little bit more, especially with like the type of D tackle he clearly wants to be. Like, this isn't a guy who wants to be a two gapper and just stand there and just like that's not really what he wants to do. He wants to get after the quarterback. He wants to get after the play, and he wants to beat the offensive lineman and make a move. That's kind of what he wants to do. Do I think he does that effectively all the time? No, but his hands are very good. I'm kind of going off subject. I apologize. Hands are very good. Let's move on. Leverage at a 5.8. Yeah, he can anchor very well. Have no issue with that at all. He actually holds up pretty well against double teams. I'm not going to say he doesn't get pushed back ever, but he anchors very well. He has an issue with getting low, and pad level can be an issue at times. Like, certainly at times when he's like looking for the running back, I think, or like looking for the ball, he pops his pads up and it plays kind of over for him after he does that. But we'll get to pad level in a second. But leverage, very, very good. Tackling at a 4. I'm not going to worry about this. I'm not going to sit here and harp on it. Like, tackling is tackling for a defensive tackle. I'm not sitting here saying special, but at a 4, that's a negative grade for me, but it's not terrible either. It's fine. Flexibility and bend. Look, he does have loose hips. I feel like for the most part, he can certainly, get low. He can certainly maneuver his body when he needs to. I'm pretty good with his flexibility. I also just want to say in general, like he can play pretty much anywhere on the line from 5 to 0. Like, I'm good with him anywhere. Obviously, you don't want him outside. Like, that's not what we're gonna ask him to do. Motor at a 6.7. This dude is unrelenting. He puts in work. I'm very, very excited to say that, like, I love D tackles like this. I don't want to see a guy who gives up on the play. I don't want to see a guy who blocks and then just kind of holds his guy while the play is happening over there. No, he goes and goes and goes. If there's a screen pass to the wide receiver, a bubble screen 15 yards in the opposite direction of him, he is running. He is always in frame. Wherever the play ends, he is in frame. I'm very, very excited about his motor. Technique at a 5.4. Again, I kind of have mentioned this. I like his moves. I think he does need to refine it a little bit more. He needs to add to his repertoire. He needs to do a little bit better job of mirroring his feet to his hands a little bit. I think he would get a lot more production out of some of his moves if he did that, especially when he's like going across somebody's body. And this is a very small thing, but I'm just going to mention it here. His ability to mirror his arm to his leg and kind of create a fluid and seamless motion to get out of a dude's way. That comes with technique, and that's not there. But overall, like, you can tell he's worked on his pass rushing moves. You can tell he puts a lot of time into his craft, into refining some of his moves. Like I talked about hand usage. It's explosive. He clearly puts a lot of time and energy into it, and I do think with more time he's going to get some of those little things down and just grow as a defensive tackle and as a defender in general. Pad level 3.9. I mentioned this. Listen, I think this was like, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is just one thing that consistently bugged me, and that's why it's a low grade. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that like I noticed on a play-by-play basis that he was like had poor pad level. Like, I didn't. It was fine. Like, I'm good with his pad level overall. But when he is looking for the run, he just pops his head too much. He just pops his shoulders up. He just like, he's like a meerkat coming out of his hole. Where is he? Like, I had an issue with that. I saw it too much. It bugged me, and that's why I put it as a negative grade. That kind of goes into read and react a little bit. Like, he had a little bit of trouble recognizing where the ball was, and that was a problem for me. That was probably, like, if I had like one con, that would be my issue, recognizing that those were the problems for me. But overall, I really like this guy. I think at worst, you're getting a rotational defensive tackle that can do a lot in a pretty much any scheme. Like, I'm good with him anywhere. I think he grades out as a traditional 3-tech, but I'm good with him over the center. He's not going to be your traditional nose tackle that, again, just holds up the blocks and everything, but I wouldn't have a problem with it. He's big enough and has like the body type enough to handle it. I do think so. And I think this is a total projection, so if I'm just end up being wrong on this, but I do think he can be a 2-gapper. I do think he's big enough and strong enough and has everything physically in him to be a guy who could just hold up 2 dudes and not let anybody anywhere go and just open up the gaps for his linebackers to flow to the running back or the quarterback or whatever it is. I think he can do that. I don't think he likes to. That's not his game. That certainly wasn't his game at USC. But I do believe that can be what he grows into in the NFL if a team decides that's what they're going to ask him to do. You would hope not. You hope he gets to play the type of game he wants to play. He goes to the scheme that fits well for him. But overall, I do think he projects as a guy with a ton of positional versatility on that defensive line. But all right, guys, that is all I have on Jay Tufele. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed the content, and if you think you'd enjoy more, consider subscribing, and let me know in the comments what you think about this player. Would you like him on your team? What are you thinking? Let me know. And if there's anybody you'd like me to do a draft profile on, you could also leave it in the comments, and I will do my best to get to it. Until next time, guys, peace.